we're going to be installing a N2MB Wot Box on Project Buster here. This is a 2000 Mustang GT 4.6 liter V8 5-speed car. We have a couple things here. There's actually two boxes, and the first box here is going to be our Wot Box. This is the little box that controls your no-lift shifting, your nitrous, your two-step launch controller. It also has an option for some progressive two-step. I've never used it, never needed it. I don't even know how to set that one up, as I've not used that option. It comes with a wiring harness. It comes with some heat shrink. It comes with some a ground lug, and that's it. There's nothing else in the box. The other box that I'm going to show you, this piece here is used. I don't know where I got this one. I've got another one that's used somewhere that come off the F-150, but this is a nitrous cable. So this thing here plugs in just like our DLC cable, but it's not going to be the DLC. This one is a 2-wire connector. You can't, maybe you can see it there. Yeah, 2 wires. You got a ground and a hot. The way that we're going to work this, we're actually going to put this in series. You do not trigger nitrous by sending power through the Wot Box. If you send power through the Wot Box, you're going to have a bad time because it's going to cause a bunch of funky glitches and stuff like that. It's not going to work correctly. So what we're going to use is power to the nitrous all the time, and then we're going to use this to ground it, right? So the power is going to go to the Wot Box and the ground to the ground, and this thing will totally control all the nitrous stuff, but it's going to control it on the ground side, not on the power side. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into this this install here. We're going to put the Wot Box inside the glove box. So this will go in the glove box. It'll be secured in there, and then we're going to keep our cable on us all the time. We'll need it for the initial setup, and anytime we make adjustments at the track. When you're on nitrous, you have to have the special passcode. That was loud for a treat for a Powerline truck. You have to have that cable to adjust it anytime you've got the nitrous turned on. If you do not run nitrous and you're just running a Wot Box by itself, you can adjust it with just the button on the front here. That button, if you have the key on, you can adjust, I believe it's the no-lift shift, and then if you have the key on with the clutch down, you can adjust the no-lift shift for two-step, I'm sorry. I think I could have that backwards. I'm not looking at the instructions right now, but those are the two options that you can adjust with this button on the front here. You can adjust the two-step and the launch control, unless you have the nitrous turned on. If you have the nitrous turned on inside this box, you cannot do that I'm aware of, and you have to use the cable every time. And every time you connect to it, you have to And then each time that you connect the cable to it, you have to re-enter debug mode and enter your password and everything, and you have to reset the nitrous stuff every single time you log into it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing mounted in here, and then we're gonna start on the nitrous stuff afterwards. The one thing I do have to still figure out, which I will have to write down, is somewhere here. I think it's right, oh, I put it in the box. And the other thing that we've got to work on that I'm gonna have to sit down and draw out the diagram for, we have a Nitrous Express Maximizer EZ progressive nitrous controller. We are going to have to take this controller and wire it in line because we are going to put a progressor on this nitrous kit. So my goal is to run this car Friday at the last DER of the year. I'm hoping to get that 11-second pass that I had originally mentioned. The goal was to go 11s for 3,500 bucks. I failed. This car just had too many problems and stuff like that. I mean, you could have probably gotten a better deal on a different model car or a different car than this one, and you probably could have made that happen for under 3,500 bucks. My problem is I ran into problems with the rear end, which I still haven't addressed yet. The transmission was broken, second and third gear was gone. The engine had a blown head gasket, so I had to buy another one. And then turns out the suspension was totally clapped. So by the time I was done replacing all that stuff, plus all the little miscellaneous crap that I've had to do and deal with, I have 4,500 bucks in this car. That is including this full nitrous kit that I have. That's including the race stars that are currently equipped on it. And it is also including the UPR suspension that I got while we were at Mustang Week, which includes the full coilover conversion kit in the front, the caster camber plates, the 10-way double adjustable strain shocks front and rear, and that was it. That was like $698 show pricing for all that stuff. Now, but today Our number one problem, or priority, I should say, our number one priority is the nitrous progressor, the nitrous kit, and the N2MB Wot Box. So I'm gonna be showing you guys how to wire in the Wot Box into this car, which is pretty simple. We only have to run 2 wires under the hood for this model, and they're gonna go, I believe, into this harness right here. So we're gonna have to run the power, the red and orange is what will end up coming up here. So we're gonna have the red and orange come through the firewall to here. All the other wires will stay inside the car, the other 4. It's a 6-wire system. As you can see by this connector right here, blue, green, red, orange, black, and yellow. Black, as you can imagine, is ground. Power and orange is for your injectors. Your ignition coils. Blue, green, and yellow is gonna be for your clutch, your throttle, and your RPM base, your crank sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and get this harness installed, the box mounted. We're gonna start getting this wired in. We've got to figure out how to wire this in. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look it up, and we're going to have to draw it out on paper. And then next, we can get the nitrous stuff installed. All right, I skipped through some of that part right there because it's just monotonous. All you're doing is I'm underneath the dash. There's nothing really that you can see. You're hooking blue and yellow into your PCM down here. So you just take out the 2 8mm, the 7mm, then the 10mm that goes to the PCM connector, and then you're tapping into the 2 wires there. I just use little splice taps. So all you do is you put the wire in, you run the new wire in, you pinch it and fold it over to lock it in place. And then you run the green over to the clutch switch, which we got hooked up. Now, the only thing I've got left to do on this Wot Box, 1, program it when I'm done. But 2, by the way, this goes to a ground strap. In case yours is missing one, it goes to the hood. Found that out the other day. But we've got to run red and orange through this wheel well liner. So I'm gonna have to pop this wheel well liner out real quick, and we're gonna have to run it through the firewall grommet, which I still have to locate. It should be behind that thing right there, and I think it's going to this connector right here, but I will update you here in a minute and give you confirmation. So right here, I'm going to be adding in this section to the video. I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this because I did meet a guy on Facebook. I was talking to him. He was having difficulty in one of the 2-valve pages with getting his Wot Box to work. Said that he couldn't activate the 2-step, it wasn't reading voltage correctly, yada yada. This part was slightly confusing. The N2MB instructions, which as pictured here, did say pretty clearly where the problem could be understood, right? So on that clutch switch that you just seen pictured, there is 2 wires coming in and out of the connector, or if you're looking at the connector, they're both coming out. You don't know which one's going in. One of them wires is going to be your feed, and one of them is going to be your return, basically, right? And so what you need is the return side of that, so that you can see when it's down and it's actually completing the circuit, yada yada yada, because otherwise it's going to be 5 volts constantly on the other one and 0 volts on this one, except for when the switch is activated, then it's going to read 5. That's what you want. You want it to only read 5 volts when the clutch pedal is pressed, right? So I'm going to show you exactly which one I tapped into, and that way you will know when you do this install exactly which wire it is without any kind of confusion, because I can understand how it can be very easily confused. The wire that you're looking for is going to be right here underneath the dash, okay? So you got your 3 pedals, gas, brake, clutch. This is the pedal you're after. However, that connector is pretty close, if not on the brake pedal, I believe. So if you look right here, yeah, it's right there. You look right here, you'll see this red fuse tap, okay? That red fuse tap is tapping the green wire from the Wot Box into this clutch switch, right? If you look at this clutch switch, you'll see there is two of the exact same color wires here. The wire that you want is this bottom side, right? The one closest to my finger, right there, that one. You want that one closest to you, closest to the steering shaft. Look at your correlation of your connector. Look at this white piece up here, right? Look at your correlation of your connector. Make sure that you get the correct wire coming out of this switch. If you do not get that wire, it will not work correctly. It'll read 5 volts 24/7 and you will not get the readings that you need. That is the one you want. Now, I believe the guy sent me a picture. He also tapped into this wire. It is also not the correct wire. It is also green. So do not get confused. You're not just searching for any old green wire. You want this green wire on the bottom side of this connector. And I hope that this helps you guys so that you guys aren't looking for the wrong one. What I'm going to do to try to help save you all the same frustration that I went through is I was going by N2MB's website instructions. It says that under hood you're going to use pin 34, and pin 34 is supposed to be a red wire coming out of this wiring harness. It is not on mine. I don't know which cars are. I just know that from the research that I did, there's two options that I've seen. One, red. Two is white with a blue stripe. Now, I did a really good job of putting heat shrink on that. Actually, I just noticed you cannot see the wire. There is a white with a light blue stripe that comes out of pin 34. Now, the pin is correct. The color of the wire is not. So if you're reading the N2MB instructions, which I recommend, just know that that wire and that color does not correspond correctly. And having said that, the only thing that I've got left to do now is put the back seat back in it, the kick panel on it, and then program it. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the seat in it real quick, grab the laptop, and let's get it programmed. All right, we're in the car. We've got the Wot Box connected. They had to do an update to the latest firmware. You can tell the Wot Box is on because the blue light's on. If you turn the key off, the blue light will go off, so the key is on right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set our two-step launch control, and I want it to be at 4800 for right now. All right, so we're gonna leave that there. No lift shift we want enabled, but I want to turn automatic off. I'm gonna put it at 200 because I don't know what this thing's gonna do. This should be a Ford CKP signal, I do believe. Could be wrong. We're about to find out though. And I'm gonna turn on the rev limiter at 7. I don't think it's even set that high. Pretty sure it's set lower than that. We're gonna write that. Now, although I did just write that and it is programmed successfully, that is only a portion of what we needed to know. The next thing I need to know is, does the clutch work? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my foot, push the clutch all the way down. I'm gonna come back up here and I'm gonna hit read, and I'm gonna be watching this bottom corner to see if it changes. All right, so now it's registering as it down. I'm gonna lift up on the clutch, hit read again. Okay, so we know that we're getting a clutch signal. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna floor it. Keep in mind the engine's off. We're gonna floor it and then read it again. That's full throttle. The box started flashing at full throttle. That tells me that it is registering that is full throttle. TPS voltage is 4.63 volts. I'm gonna lift up, read it again. 0.90. Floor it again. Read it again. 4.63. So basically, what I'm picking up is I would want my TPS threshold to be around 4.2 to 4.3 volts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set it to 4.25 volts. We're just gonna go happy medium. Our launch control, we're also gonna change our launch control settings to be 4.25 volts. So now what this is gonna achieve for us is we are now gonna have our volts set where we want them. Our no lift shift is set to 200 milliseconds. That's slow. However, this transmission is hurt. That is gonna be the absolute best we can do for the time being. We're gonna go ahead and write this once again. Our ride is complete. It's that fast. Now, really the only thing I can do is try it. So I'm going to start the car and see if we can get it to work. All right, no lift worked. Two-step worked. I definitely got to get a tune on this thing. It's still in the base file. All right. Well, she didn't like that, and she died, which is perfectly fine. We shall mask the sound of our shenanigans over the train. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can put a little heat in the tire. I'm gonna see if I can get it to actually kind of launch up here. I don't know if it'll actually do it or not. Doubted myself so hard on that 2-3 shift that I just lifted because I knew there was no way I made it, and somehow it worked. I think we'll have to give her one more just for the car seems to be having a power cut. So for that right there, I got 0 positive outcome. The car did not want to go second. I'm going to have to probably short shift it a little bit to get that to actually go through. I did manage to get third and stayed in it, but I also missed fourth, which is weird because I don't think I've ever missed fourth on this transmission before. It's always went. So most likely, odds are, I probably had the RPMs a little too high for the 3-4 shift as well. I had had it somewhere in the neck of, oh, God, that thing sounds rough. Somewhere in the neck of 62, 6400.